Rabbi Friedman, thank God it's Tuesday. I am so grateful for this opportunity every week. It is definitely a godsend. I don't treat it as anything less, that we have this amazing opportunity to get your wisdom and insights into what is happening with our life today. So the question that I would like to raise today is, why is everyone thriving so hard to be the best? We became the culture of people who exceed, who from the very, very beginning are conditioned to be the best at everything. And the thought that came with it, are we driven because of this? Did we become driven by jealousy? Did we become absolutely amazing at breaking the 10th commandment of not wishing what somebody else has? Because the way it looks now, it looks like really jealousy and envy became the driving force, became the culture and the driving force of the world today. That's my take on things.
You may be right.
I don't want to be right.
Being the best has replaced being good. In the good old days, people strove to be good, to be the best. But then it deteriorated into being the best at something. Now, not the kindest, not the smartest, not to be really, really good, but to be better than everybody else, including in religion. Religion also became somewhat of a competition. Who is the best at being religious, which doesn't make you a better person. And yeah, you could call it jealousy, competition, greed. So it's a very strange contradiction. You're not allowed to feel that you are better than anybody else, and yet you have to commit your life to being better than everybody else. Isn't that a contradiction?
Total.
How dare you feel superior? But if you're not better than everybody else, you're a failure. It's kind of crazy. So the question is this: if I am not the best athlete, is there anything missing in my life? But if I am not the kindest person, I don't mean kinder than anybody else, but if I'm not as kind as I can be, am I missing something in my life? Yes, I am. So to be the best at something is really not necessary. To be good is necessary. Because if I'm not good, I'm not me. And if I'm not me, I'm not healthy. If I'm not a gymnast, if I'm not an Olympic swimmer, I'm not missing anything. There's nothing lacking in me. So by the definition of health, which is an important topic these days, healthy means I am what I am supposed to be. A human being who doesn't feel human is obviously not a healthy person. That's why if you abuse people, you treat them like animals, you not only are guilty of misbehavior, you're destroying the person. You're making them ill. Because if you don't treat them like human beings, then they can't function like human beings. And a human being who can't function like a human being is seriously ill. You might even say it's the beginning of all illnesses. So by definition, healthy means able to be what I am. If a man can't be a man, a woman can't be a woman, very unhealthy. If a child can't be a child, if an adult can't be an adult, that's a serious illness. That can cause all sorts of physical illnesses. So, being the best at something is not necessary for our well-being. It's only good for our fame and fortune. But being right, having a clear conscience, retaining the innocence of childhood, that's important for our health. A person who feels that they lost their innocence, that's the beginning of illness. In fact, one theory in medicine that asks a very simple question. From the beginning of time, were human beings always ill? The common cold was always a problem for human beings? Pneumonia? Tuberculosis? It can't be. The first human beings must have been very healthy. If God created Adam and Eve, he created them perfect. Even if you believe in evolution, the survival of the fittest means that the early human beings were the fittest. So when did illness begin and how? How does a person go from being healthy to being ill? Interesting question. Because when you're healthy, your immune system is strong. What overcomes your immune system? A virus? Bacteria? Somebody coughed in your face? If your immune system is healthy, you don't get sick. Speaking of coughing. And the theory that you catch a cold from somebody who has a cold, that doesn't really answer the question. How did the first person catch a cold? I get too excited about these.
They come with a demonstration.
So the theory, according to this school of medicine, the first person to become ill was a man who was attracted to another man's wife. In other words, how do we get off base, out of balance? Nothing can make us sick from the outside if we are healthy on the inside. So the only way to create an imbalance, an imperfection, a flaw, is to create a dis-ease or disease. What creates a dis-ease? Guilt. So the first man who was attracted to another man's wife, that upset the balance. And the first illness, according to this theory, was superficial. It was only on the skin. It was leprosy. psoriasis. As people sinned more seriously, the imbalance got greater, and therefore the symptoms and the illnesses became more serious. So from the skin, it went to the joints, and you had arthritis. When it got worse, it went from the joints to the internal organs, and you got pneumonia, tuberculosis, kidney diseases, heart disease. And when it got really, really bad, it went to the brain, the most dangerous. So it's a fascinating theory. But whether it's true or not about early human beings, it is certainly true today. An innocent person with a clear conscience has a strong, healthy immune system. As soon as a person loses that balance, emotional, mental, then they become vulnerable to all sorts of illnesses. And that's why jealousy is not only a nasty characteristic, it's dangerously unhealthy. Because when you're jealous of someone else, your own condition, your own life style or level of social acceptance and so on, if you're uncomfortable with who you are and therefore jealous of somebody else, that's the opening, the beginning of all illness. So to become stronger, just in our health, I'm not even talking about the morality or the godliness of it, you need to maintain an inner equilibrium. You have to be comfortable with yourself. Now, there is healthy guilt. It's not like you have to love yourself unconditionally, which you do anyway, but the point is, you have to be balanced within yourself. I know what I'm good for. I know what I'm not good for. I know my limitations. I know my talents. And I'm okay with it. That's the healthy internal person, which will result in a healthy external person. So I think you're right.
Rabbi Friedman, it seems like things are getting back to normal, as people would put it. And for a lot of people, getting back to normal, meaning getting back to the rat race. The rat race that was created by envy, jealousy, Hollywood sets level of where one has to reach, and anything below it is a failure. Yeah, exactly what we just talked about. Do you think people have learned any kind of lessons over the past year, or do you think people are eager to get back to where they were a year ago? A little more now.
Yes and no. I think people did learn a very important lesson. At least most people. The silent majority. We don't yet have a plan to replace the rat race. But we know the rat race is not acceptable, it's not kosher, it should never have been, and it certainly shouldn't go back and continue. But what do we replace it with? So until we find a replacement, we're just going to slip back, but we know it's not good. Most people know. Those who don't know, that's very sad. What will it take to convince you? So those who are looking forward to going back to the rat race, that's not good news.
Hope it's a minority, not a majority.
Yes.
But Rabbi Friedman, you said that originally people were trying the thrive was to be good, good people. And then it changed, and people started to thrive to be the best at everything, driving themselves crazy as they go along and achieve the unachievable goal. At what point of humanity that change took place?
Probably the Industrial Revolution, when things became more important than people. When instead of having to work to feed your family, you had a career like an alternative to your family. So your career took you away from home, whereas in the olden days you went to work only for your home. So people were away, men were away from home for long stretches of time, peddling, selling, traveling but all the kids all knew Dad is away from home because he's working hard to bring home the bread. So they didn't feel like they had been abandoned by their father. On the contrary, they appreciated their father's labor and hard work and devotion, even sometimes sacrifice. But after the revolution, the Industrial Revolution, men didn't leave home to support their families. They left home for the better part of the day to pursue a career that had nothing to do with family. So it alienated men from their families. Eventually, women started to feel like they were single parents. The mother raises the child, the father has a career. Well, it's no longer a family. So eventually the women said, raising children by myself, what kind of life is that? I'll also go to work. Have a life of my own. Now the children are home alone, lock key, right? Is that what they're called? Kids have neither a mother nor a father. And this is in good families. So the Industrial Revolution, I think, brought out the materialism in us, and stuff became more important than people, and eventually stuff became more important than life. So now we don't know what to do with our stuff because we can't figure out what to do with our lives.
Rabbi Friedman, but it seems, well, at least it seems this way to me, that we became the society who is absolutely amazing at breaking the 10th commandment. And I'm sorry?
And breaking what?
The 10th commandment. The 10th commandment, not wishing what other have. I think basically the entire world became a world of comparison. It's
yes.
I think people have more than they need, yet their measurement is in accordance to their neighbors or their community. I mean, and it's just realistically, it's a very, very scary concept. I mean, where can this? If it's a commandment, it must be very, very serious. There must be a serious, serious consequence to it. But the whole world now, and I think everybody, I don't think there's an exception to anyone who is not doing it, because it's just the culture of the world. I mean, where can this bring us? This last 10th commandment that everybody is breaking.
Be nice to think that we're keeping the first 9 and breaking only the 10th. Yeah, but you're right. It's got to be crucial to life on earth. So people expected, with the Industrial Revolution, people expected that having stuff, being materially well off, would bring some kind of contentment, some kind of peace of mind, some kind of fulfillment. But it doesn't. So the only explanation left is, I don't have enough. I have a lot, but it's not enough. Why isn't it enough? It hasn't made me content. So what will make me content? I have no idea, philosophically. So all I can go by is what other people have. And this has affected even medicine. How do we know what's healthy, what's not healthy, what is good for life, what is not good for life? Statistics. When medicine becomes statistical, we're in big, big trouble. You can't understand health, illness, life, death. You can't measure that by statistics. What's a healthy person? Well, statistically, most people can walk on both legs, see with both eyes, hear with both ears. So if you can't hear from one ear, you're not healthy. Why? Because statistically, more people do hear than don't hear. But what is not hearing? What does that mean? What's this context, the content of it? Why do I need to hear? Why from both ears? I don't know. Most people do. And then you develop a treatment. If most people get better from this treatment, then it's the treatment. What about all those people who don't get well from this treatment? Yeah, but statistically. So if a few people die from your treatment, that's statistically acceptable. Because it's a very low number. It's just nobody wants to be that number. So the philosophy of life is replaced with numbers. How many? How many? Even in war. What is a moral war? If you kill less people of the enemy, if you lose fewer of your own soldiers, how many? A decent number. What, those people that, like 10%? Is that acceptable? 10% of your own soldiers are disposable? If you go by numbers, you've lost the sanctity of life. Sanctity can't be measured by numbers. So, in every area of our lives, even in religion, it's become materialistic. I'm going to get to heaven. Whoa, a front seat or a back seat? You're going to get the gold, the silver, or the bronze. And then you'll be so embarrassed that you only got the bronze.
The success of a congregation is also measured by numbers these days. I mean, everything is data-driven. I'm going to sound like a 5-year-old right now, Rabbi Friedman, but when did we become obsessed with numbers, with this data, and when did the world become measurable by numbers?
It's an alternative religion. It is. It's a religion. When you have no real connection to God, you have to create a fake God. And around that fake God, you have to create rules and regulations. And around those rules and regulations, you have to create reward and punishment. You create a whole religion. secularism is a well-developed religion, has all the trimmings and all the trappings. There are the prophets of secularism. There is the God of secularism. There's the reward and punishment of secularism. There's the Bible of secularism. It's got everything. It's a perfect religion, except that it's greedy, selfish, narcissistic. So it's really a religion that is bound to destroy itself. That's called secular, intelligent, sophisticated, scientific. You know what people are saying these days? I mean, it's so revealing. If you don't believe in the vaccination, for example, or the masks, or the distancing, people will say to you, you don't believe in science? Well, those two words should never appear in the same sentence. Believe in science? Science became a belief? You're supposed to adore science? What happened to rational thinking that the scientist is so proud of, that distinguishes the scientist from the religious fanatic? Now we've got scientific fanatics. You have to believe in science. You have questions? You're questioning science? You get punished for that. You get excommunicated. It's such a harsh religion. I don't believe in science. I love science. I don't believe in it. The very nature of science is, I have a theory which might be wrong. I have a theory that cannot be wrong. Oh, that's called religion. That's called religious dogma. So Einstein came along and showed where Newton was wrong. But no one will ever show that Einstein was wrong. Oh, really? That's a religion. Of course Einstein can be wrong. I hope he's wrong. Because I hope that we continue to make new discoveries and understand the universe much better than even Einstein. Isn't that what science is for?
For proof and disproof.
So I like Einstein. He was a very nice guy, I think. But to say he's the final word on... No, the final word.
Rabbi Friedman, as you said in September, right before the Jewish New Year, what we're in for this year, that we're in for total revelation, total discoveries of where we're at, the world we're in today. And it's happening, absolutely. It's happening 100%, and I don't think anybody can deny it anymore. They might still not agree with it, but there's no denial that everything is becoming unraveled. And no one is even ashamed of, if before we kind of like covered certain things up, presented them in a different light, now it's very straightforward. Everything is apparent, obvious, but we're still not seeing the changes that we're all craving for. We are not seeing that, now we see it and we're appalled that we see it and it's still happening and nothing is being done. What is the next step? What can we be expecting?
Two things. What needs to be done is more goodness. Not protesting the evil, which has become one of the biggest evils in town, like in Minneapolis. Not protesting the evil. Do more good. And secondly, expect the evil to destroy itself. If we have to destroy it, then there's nothing new. We've always fought against evil and tried to destroy it. Sometimes we made it better. Sometimes by fighting it, we made it worse. We replaced a little evil with a bigger evil. You know, we went from the Tsar to Stalin, which is thank you very much. But when the evil destroys itself, that's good news. So those are the two things. Do a little more good. Reach out to 10 people. Here's a very simple project. 10 people that you know that you haven't spoken to recently. Call them up. Text them. And surprise the life out of them. Say, hi, I just wanted to see how you're doing. And they'll say, why? What's up? Nothing. Just wanted to see how you're doing. And I heard something really, really smart and really beautiful, and I want to share it with you. Okay. Where is this leading? Nowhere. There's no agenda. I just wanted to call and share a little good news with you. Because, it's good to know. So, just surprise 10 people in your life with that kind of a call or that kind of a message. Just to say hello and share something I heard recently that's really beautiful, helpful. Somebody brought the lieutenant of the police district to the Rebbe for $1 when the Rebbe was giving out dollars. The Rebbe said to this man, who is not Jewish, he said, I give charity every day. I make a point. The Rebbe said, I give charity every day, and it really helps me. You should do it too. Maybe it'll help you also. Otherwise, if the Rebbe hadn't said that, what would this meeting have amounted to? Hi, I'm Lieutenant whatever. Hi. Nice to meet you. Yeah, nice to meet you. Okay, thank you, bye. What would come of it? Every opportunity to share some good news, some wisdom, some moral message, not preaching, sharing. It was a beautiful thing, and you see it on the video. It's just amazing how the Rebbe so naturally finds a way to make every encounter of 4 minutes meaningful, productive, friendly. It tears down the borders. I do it and it helps me. If you do it, it'll help you. And all of a sudden, a lieutenant in the army, in the police force, and the Rebbe of our generation have something in common. It's unbelievable. Unbelievably beautiful.
It is amazing. Rabbi Friedman, I have a question. This just happened to me, and I have to, it's a personal thing, but I have to share it because I try to bring this message, exactly this message, everywhere I go. Of course, I always say, Rabbi Friedman said so. And of course, everybody understands that whatever Rabbi Friedman says is the teachings, our teachings, the Jewish teachings, Rabbi's teachings. And when I counter the negativity with your messages that I learn from you weekly, all of a sudden, last Shabbat, I heard from a very brilliant religious woman, her come back to me, Boy, you've been brainwashed by Rabbi Friedman. I said, what do you mean brainwashed? What kind of a comeback should I have had at that particular moment?
What did you say that sounded brainwashed?
All of this about being positive, about being optimistic, about the fact that we're going in the right direction. Because people are down, so I try to bring a little positivity and good energy to everyone that I'm around. And again, I thank you for giving us, me and everybody who listens or watches that drive, because I think that's the drive that we all need today. But sometimes when I try to counter negativity, and of course I don't want to take credit for it because I learned from you, and I'm grateful for that. And then I am told, you're brainwashed by Rabbi Friedman. I'm like,
it's true, you should admit it.
Okay.
But it's true that everybody is brainwashed. The media does a very good job at brainwashing. They're brilliant at it. And they work at it 24 hours a day. So everybody is brainwashed. In other words, there are many attempts at brainwashing. Your freedom of choice is you are free to choose who you want to be brainwashed by. You can choose the media. You can choose ancient wisdom that the media does not share. You can come up with new ideas of your own. But everybody is brainwashed by the information that already exists. There's a big smorgasbord of ideas. Mm-hmm. The wisdom is to know which one to pick. But everybody's brainwashed. Very few people have completely original thoughts. And that's because we're educated. In the olden days, people came up with original thoughts because nobody told them what to think. So they had to have original thought. Today, we're always told what to think by school, by the media, by books, and by very few ideas are original anymore. And maybe we don't need original ideas. We don't need to rediscover the wheel. We don't need to rewrite the 10 Commandments. The question is, are you going to be brainwashed by the wheel or by the 10 Commandments? That's your choice.
Amazing. Oh, very close to the answer I gave, so thank God I was on the right track. Rabbi Friedman, just want to get back to the evil. Can't get away from it. The question is, you said that, we always had evil, but evil was always kind of tangible. It was Stalin, it was Hitler, it was Pharaoh. Right now, the evil is not exactly tangible. We know it's out there, and and everybody kind of understands that there's a plot, that a lot of people are involved, or not, I don't know, but we can't put a finger on it. We can't say it's this guy or it's this guy, and this is what has to be destroyed. It seems to be almost, I would say, spiritual at this point. How do we, what is it? Do we still not know what it is exactly? I mean, are we getting to a point where we're beginning to understand? Can we put a finger on it at some point soon?
I think that in the olden days, there was an authority behind the evil. So you knew who the authority was. You knew where the evil was coming from. There is no authority today. Nobody can tell you to be evil. Nobody can make you sin. So it's all a battle of ideas. It's all a struggle for the theory. Now, who's behind the theory? We don't know because they can't enforce it. But it's getting to where they're going to try. It's getting to where they're going to try to enforce their theories, and then we'll see where it's coming from.
World keeps saying they, and it's, we're trying to figure out who they are. And they've been around for a while. We know, probably the last century. But exactly who they are, we still cannot pinpoint. Does anybody in the world know who they are at this point?
I don't know. Because in the battle of ideas, you can remain obscure, you can remain hidden. But once they start to impose it, then we will see clearly who's calling the shots.
Aren't we getting in position already?
It seems like, yeah.
In certain areas, in the areas of vaccination and in the areas of politics, in its majority, I would say.
Yeah. But the real power behind the evil is still hiding.
Kind of scary to find out what it is.
I'm hoping that it'll never happen. That there will never be an opportunity to impose those ideas because people are too accustomed to freedom. That's the difference. You can introduce communism to a country that has suffered from 6 czars under whom you never had any freedom anyway. It's not so hard to impose another dictator. But once people have been comfortable and spoiled by freedom, it's very hard to take it away without a fight. So they're going to try, but it's not going to work. Nobody's going to go for it. But in their trying, they'll at least expose themselves. So there's a prediction that before Mashiach comes, there will be this big war, Gog and Magog, and there will be endless casualties. This doesn't necessarily mean a physical war with bombs and bullets. It's an ideological war. And if religion has been wrong, there's going to be a lot of casualties. But the casualties are that you have to rethink everything you believed, which is like pulling the rug out from under people's lives. So it's a battle. It's a war, a battle of ideologies. The Torah, of course, is going to win that battle. And once these ideologies are resolved, we can have real peace, real prosperity, where the wealth that the earth gives us can be equally distributed or equitably distributed, so that nobody suffers, nobody's hungry, nobody's deprived, which really is not necessary at all because there's enough for everybody. We just have to be nice about it. And the haves should not use their power over the have-not. So all we need is to resolve our morality issues. What is acceptable morally and what is not? Once we have a universal morality, which of course has to be voluntary, once we have a universal morality, then we have peace on earth.
Rabbi Friedman, amazing. Thank you so much. I will do everything to get this particular program translated and available for our audience and other audience in Russian. I think there's so much value to everything you say every week, and certainly, hopefully, more people will hear it and internalize it, and I think that will just serve a tremendous purpose. Rabbi Friedman, thank you for your time, thank you for your wisdom, and thank you for being you.
It says in the Gemara that the generation before Mashiach comes, the leaders of the generation will be like dogs. What is it about dogs? Dogs, when they travel in a pack, like wolves, they don't have a pack leader. The dog that runs out ahead is constantly looking back to see if they're following. And if they're not following, he changes direction and goes where the group wants to go. That's the teachings and the thinkers of this generation that are effective. It's because they're taking the people where the people already want to go. So these ideas are popular or inspirational because people are going that way anyway. They just need to put it into words. So if you put it into words for them, there's no resistance. They're going in that direction anyway. Because it's inevitable.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Friedman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Till next week. Really appreciate it.